She whispered. Daddy did it again. What the nurse uncovered next didn't just silence the hospital. It triggered a manhunt, exposed a terrifying secret, and led to a discovery under a bridge that no one was prepared for. And just when they thought the nightmare was over, someone sent photos of the nurse, marked with one chilling word: mine. Stay until the end. This story doesn't just twist, it haunts. Before we dive into the story, tell me, where are you watching from? Because by the end, you'll wish someone had been watching her. The pediatric wing was quiet that afternoon. The kind of stillness that usually meant trouble was waiting to be discovered. Nurse Elena Harper flipped through the intake sheet and paused when her eyes landed on one name. Maya Reynolds, age 6. Complaint: fall at playground. It was the third time this little girl had come in this month, room 4. Elena walked down the hallway, her white shoes squeaking softly against the linoleum. The clipboard trembled just slightly in her grip. She'd seen Maya before. Different injury each time. Same uneasy feeling every visit. When she entered the room, the girl was sitting on the edge of the exam table, small and quiet, legs dangling, her arms wrapped tightly around a faded stuffed dolphin. Her brown hair was tangled in twin braids, and her eyes followed Elena cautiously. The man sitting in the chair nearby stood as Elena walked in. Late 30s, worn leather jacket, thin build, smelled faintly of old cigarettes. She fell off the monkey bars, he said quickly. Got a little bruised up, but she's fine. Maya didn't speak. She looked down at her lap. Elena forced a gentle smile. Hi, Maya. I'm just going to take a quick look, okay? Maya gave a tiny nod. Elena moved slowly, kneeling so she was eye level with the girl. She rolled up the sleeve on Maya's t-shirt and froze. A large, deep bruise covered most of her upper arm. Finger-shaped, purple around the edges. It wasn't fresh, but it wasn't old either. You said she fell, Elena asked, glancing up at the man. Yeah, you know how kids are, he said. She doesn't listen when I tell her to slow down. Always jumping off stuff. Maya said nothing. Her eyes stayed fixed on the floor. Elena gently examined the rest of the arm. No swelling, but she noticed something else. Faint older bruises along the back of the shoulder. One near the rib cage. Too many for one fall. Too many for 3. She straightened up and walked to the counter to jot notes on the clipboard. We'll want the doctor to take a closer look. I'm going to call him in. The man shifted in his seat. Is that necessary? It's standard when there's bruising around joints or bones, she replied evenly. Before she could leave, she heard it. A whisper, so faint, she almost missed it. Daddy did it again. Elena froze. She turned slowly. What was that, sweetheart? Maya looked up, her bottom lip trembling. Nothing, she said quickly. Her small arms pulled the dolphin tighter. Elena glanced at the man. He was looking out the window, uninterested, scrolling through his phone. Elena crouched again, her voice low. Maya, are you hurt anywhere else? Maya hesitated. Her eyes flicked toward her father, then back to Elena. Very slowly, she raised the back of her shirt just an inch. Welts, red, raw, and fresh, lining her back like stripes. Elena felt the air leave her lungs. She lowered the shirt gently, trying not to show the horror in her face. I'll be right back, she whispered, brushing a hand across Maya's hair. As she stepped into the hallway, her hands trembled. She picked up the phone and called Dr. Lin, the pediatric attending. I need you in room 4, she said. We may have a child abuse case. Her voice shook, but her words were steady. Inside the exam room, Maya sat still as stone. The man didn't notice her silence, or maybe he didn't care. When Dr. Lin arrived a few minutes later, Elena briefed him outside the room. He nodded grimly and entered without hesitation. Maya looked up, her eyes met Elena's again, and then the man stood, sensing the shift. What's going on? He asked, voice tight. Dr. Lin's expression didn't change. We're going to conduct a full evaluation. Please step outside. The man's eyes narrowed. No one told me anything was wrong. Elena stepped forward. Sir, please wait in the hallway. He didn't move, and then Maya spoke again. Quiet, clear. He hits me when no one's looking. The man's jaw clenched. Dr. Lin was already reaching for the wall phone. The door closed behind him with a solid, final click, and in the hallway the man started pacing. Elena watched through the narrow window, and she knew this wasn't the first time, but it would have to be the last. The hallway outside room 4 had fallen silent, too silent. Nurse Elena stood by the wall phone, waiting for the hospital's in-house security to arrive. Her eyes stayed on the narrow window of the exam room, where Maya sat curled on the edge of the table, hugging her stuffed dolphin like a shield. Dr. Lin was speaking to her in a calm voice, crouched low to her level. The man, Maya's father, stood just outside the room, arms crossed, jaw tight, foot tapping against the tile. "I said I want to know what's going on," he muttered louder now. Elena turned toward him. "Sir, a physician is assessing your daughter. You'll be updated shortly. She doesn't need this," he snapped. She fell, that's all. He looked down at Elena, eyes sharp and unblinking. "You people are making something out of nothing." Then came the buzz of the elevator doors opening. 2 uniformed security officers stepped into the hallway. Elena didn't have to say a word. They moved in calmly, one standing between the man and the exam room, the other speaking quietly into a radio. Inside, Dr. Lin was finishing his exam. Elena slipped back into the room. The moment she entered, Maya looked up with pleading eyes. "She said this has been happening for a while," Dr. Lin said in a low voice. "There are healing fractures on her ribs, scarring on her lower back. This isn't new." Elena swallowed hard. "And no school ever reported it?" He shook his head. "She's homeschooled. No one's been watching." Maya sat there small and silent, her knees pulled up under her chin. "I didn't want him to get in trouble," she said softly. "But it hurts." Elena kneeled in front of her. "Sweetheart, thank you for telling us. You're very brave." And this, she gently brushed the dolphin's soft head. "This won't happen anymore. Not if we can help it." Maya nodded slowly, but her face was pale with fear. Out in the hallway, her father was pacing again, now agitated, barking into his phone. Security remained close, never blocking his path but never leaving him alone. Back in the room, Elena dialed Child Protective Services. Her voice didn't waver this time. "We have a 6-year-old girl. Multiple signs of physical abuse. Perpetrator is the father, still on site. We need an emergency intake." CPS said they would send someone immediately. Within the hour, a caseworker named Julia arrived. Calm, composed, dressed in a long navy coat. She entered room 4 with a gentle smile. "Hi, Maya," she said softly, crouching beside the table. My name's Julia. I'm here to make sure you're safe." Maya nodded but didn't speak. Julia handed her a blank notepad and a pen. "Can you draw me something?" "Anything you want." Maya took the pen slowly. Then she began to draw. A house. A small figure with pigtails. A bigger figure beside it with long arms. Sharp lines across the small figure's back. Elena saw Julia's jaw tighten ever so slightly. "Thank you," she said softly, touching Maya's hand. "That helps." When Julia stood, she spoke to Dr. Lin and Elena outside the room. "She'll be placed in emergency foster care tonight," she said. "We have a home ready. We'll keep her safe." Elena let out a long, quiet breath. Relief tinged with something else, something darker. This wasn't the first child she'd seen in this situation, but something about Maya lingered longer. "I'll go talk to the father," Julia said. "We have what we need to file charges." As she walked down the hall, Elena stayed with Maya, packing a small bag of essentials. A change of clothes, a bottle of water, a clean mask. "Do you have a name for your dolphin?" she asked, trying to bring Maya back from the edge. The little girl whispered, "Charlie." Elena smiled. "Charlie's coming with you, okay? He'll keep you company." Maya nodded. When Julia returned, her face had changed. "He's gone," she said quietly. Walked out during the distraction with paperwork. Security thought he was cleared. Elena stared at her. "He left? Just like that?" "We're calling the police now." Maya heard it. Her voice cracked. "He always finds me." Elena wrapped an arm around her shoulder, shielding her from the sound of raised voices down the hall. But in her gut, she knew this wasn't over. Rain slid down the hospital windows in slow, streaking lines as the evening settled in. The air felt heavier now. Maya had been taken by CPS just an hour earlier. Elena should have felt relief. She didn't. Back in the break room, she sat at the small table with a cup of tea growing cold in her hands. The news that Maya's father had slipped out, without resistance, without hesitation, kept looping through her head. How did he get past security? How did he know she'd be removed today? The hospital's internal report would come later. For now, all Elena had were questions and a gnawing pit in her stomach. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated before answering. "Hello?" A woman's voice, low and nervous. "Is this the nurse from St. Luke's? The one who helped the little girl?" Maya? Elena sat up straight. Yes, who is this? I work cleaning rooms at the Crestview Motel, off Route 7, the woman said. Room 12's been occupied since this morning. A man and a little girl. She matches the description I saw on the news alert. She wouldn't speak. He yelled a lot. Elena gripped the phone tighter. Did she look hurt? She was holding a toy, a stuffed dolphin. Elena's heart stopped. Have you called the police? The woman's voice dropped. I was scared. He looks like trouble. I didn't know what to do until now. Elena stood up. Okay, thank you. You did the right thing calling. She hung up and immediately called Julia from CPS. The phone barely rang once. I just got a tip, Elena said. A motel. She's with him. Crestview, room 12. We're already on it, Julia said quickly. The case is active. Police are being dispatched now. Elena exhaled. I need to know she's safe. I'll call you the moment I have anything. The line went dead. For the next 2 hours, Elena paced her apartment, every sound from the street making her flinch. The rain turned heavier, thunder rolled somewhere in the distance. She kept glancing at the time. Nothing. Then, just after 10:30, her phone lit up again. Julia. Elena answered on the first ring. Did they find her? Julia's voice was clipped. They got there too late. Elena's knees buckled. She sat hard on the couch. No, the room was empty. Door was open. No sign of either of them. But we have the motel's security footage. He left about an hour ago. Took the girl with him. Elena covered her mouth. Julia continued. We're widening the search. Amber Alert is being issued within the hour. I promise you, we're not stopping. Elena barely slept that night. She kept the news playing in the background, listening for any update. Her thoughts wouldn't stop turning. The bruises, the quiet confessions. The way Maya whispered, he always finds me. By morning, the Amber Alert had gone statewide. Maya's school photo, big brown eyes, those crooked pigtails, flashed across every screen. And still no sign of her. Until the third day. Elena was just coming off her shift when her phone rang again. This time it was a police officer, Detective Marlowe. His voice was steady but low. There's been a development, he said. We've located the father's vehicle. Elena stopped walking. Where? Abandoned on a back road near the state line. Keys still in the ignition. She didn't ask the question. She didn't have to. We're sending in a search team now, Marlowe said. The area's wooded, remote. Elena closed her eyes. Are you saying she could still be alive? There was a long pause. We're hoping, he said. Then he added more quietly. There was a stuffed dolphin on the front seat. The woods near the state line were dense and overgrown, the kind of place that swallowed sound and sunlight alike. Search teams moved, and just before dawn, flashlights piercing the underbrush, dogs sniffing at damp leaves and old trails. Detective Marlowe stood beside the father's abandoned car, his coat soaked from the morning rain. Inside the vehicle, the stuffed dolphin sat alone on the passenger seat, damp but intact. Maya's small backpack was on the floorboard, unzipped. No clothes, no food, no sign of her. Elena watched the news report from the hospital break room, a paper cup clutched in her hands. The reporter's voice was calm, but there was tension underneath every word. Authorities have expanded the search for 6-year-old Maya Reynolds, last seen with her father, Mark Reynolds, 3 days ago. The screen flashed to a recent photo. Maya standing in a faded red dress, smiling, one front tooth missing. The sight of it made Elena's chest ache. By late afternoon, Julia called with a direct update. They found a trail, she said. Footprints, small ones, about 2 miles from the car. Elena's breath caught. Maya looks like it, Julia replied. And something else, they found a sock, child size, pink, matches what she was wearing when she left the hospital. The search intensified. More volunteers arrived. Drones were sent up. A few hours later, a search dog caught a scent near the creek that ran along the southern edge of the wood. There, nestled behind a tangle of fallen branches, they found a makeshift shelter. Just branches, tarp, a small fire pit long burned out. And inside a blanket, thin, dirty, but a child's blanket. Next to it, a juice box, half full. Elena got the call just after 6 p.m. She's alive, Julia said, voice shaking. They found her. The world tilted. Where? Elena asked. Her voice barely a whisper. She was hidden under a bridge, about a quarter mile from the shelter. Cold, dehydrated, but responsive. She asked for Charlie. The dolphin, tears filled Elena's eyes, and the father. There was a pause. He was there too, Julia said. Passed out. Hi. Empty bottle next to him. Is she safe now? She's on her way back to the hospital. Your hospital. Your hospital. An hour later, Elena stood just outside the ambulance bay as the doors opened. Maya was carried out, wrapped in a foil blanket, eyes fluttering open. Dirt streaked her face and her braids had come loose, but she was alive. When Elena stepped closer, Maya looked up. Recognition flickered in her tired eyes. And then, with the softest voice, she whispered, "You came." Elena's throat tightened. "Of course I did, sweetheart." Maya reached a weak hand toward her. In it, she clutched something tightly. Charlie, mud-stained but still in one piece. Inside, the trauma team moved quickly. Vitals, fluids, gentle voices, warm blankets. Dr. Lin met Elena in the hallway, exhaustion on his face. She's going to make it. Malnourished, mild hypothermia, but nothing we can't treat. Elena nodded, but her hands were still trembling. Julia arrived minutes later, holding a new file in her arms. We've filed for emergency protective custody. Her father's being held without bond. He's not getting near her again. Elena didn't respond right away. She just looked through the glass at Maya, small, fragile, alive. And then Julia said something unexpected. She asked for you, said you were the first one who believed her. Elena felt her heart break all over again. She stepped into the room slowly, carefully. Maya turned her head. You found me? The girl said again, voice stronger now. Elena sat beside her, brushing a bit of hair from her face. You found yourself. You were so brave. Maya blinked up at her. Can I stay here with you? The question hung in the air, heavy and impossible. Elena hesitated. Just for a second. Just for a second. Then a quiet knock came at the door. Dr. Lin stepped in, holding a white envelope. You need to see this, he said quietly. Elena opened it, and her heart stopped. Inside were photographs, taken from a distance, of Elena, walking to her car, leaving her apartment. One of her at the nurse's station, caught through a hospital window, and on the back of each one was a single word written in shaky black marker, mine. Elena stared at the photos in her hands. Her breath caught somewhere between fear and disbelief. The lighting in each shot was different, some taken during daylight, some at night. Some looked recent, others weeks old. Each one focused solely on her, not Maya, not the hospital her. She flipped to the last photo, a close-up of her front door. Taped to the handle was a child's drawing, stick figures again. One big, one small, holding hands, both with X's for eyes. Elena looked up at Dr. Lin, her face pale. Who found these? They were dropped off at the front desk. No return name, no postage, his voice lowered. Security's reviewing the cameras now. She sank into the nearest chair, her fingers still gripping the photos like they might vanish if she just held them tightly enough. I thought he was in custody. Dr. Lin nodded grimly. He is, but someone else might be involved. Or he planned this in advance. Elena's stomach turned. Julia appeared a moment later, her face tight with concern. We've already contacted local police. I'll get you a temporary protection detail. You're not going home alone tonight. Elena didn't argue. Her thoughts were already racing toward Maya, still asleep in the hospital bed, a warm blanket tucked around her tiny frame, Charlie the dolphin clutched under one arm. Safe, for now. But if the father had help, or if someone else had taken interest in Maya, or in Elena, she stood, bracing herself. I want to see her. She stepped quietly into Maya's room. The machines hummed softly, steady and reassuring. The little girl stirred at the sound of the door and opened her eyes. You came back, she whispered, voice hoarse. I'm not going anywhere, Elena said, sitting beside her. Maya blinked slowly. He said he had friends. Elena looked down. Do you know their names? No, Maya murmured. Just that they helped him before. When I tried to hide, Elena felt a cold weight settle over her. She stayed by Maya's side long into the night. Outside, rain returned, tapping gently against the windows. By morning, the security team confirmed what everyone feared. The footage from the hospital's visitor cameras had been wiped. Someone had used an access code, someone who knew the system. Elena didn't wait. She went directly to the police station, photos in hand. This isn't just about abuse, she said. This man was tracking me, watching. He was never just going to disappear. Detective Marlowe leaned back in his chair, the tension in his eyes impossible to hide. He may be behind bars now, but he wasn't working alone, and whoever's still out there isn't finished. Later that afternoon, as Elena returned to the hospital, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. This time, she didn't hesitate. Elena Harper, she answered. A pause. Then a voice, smooth and slow. You're a very difficult woman to scare. Elena stopped walking. I suppose I'll have to try harder. Then the line went dead. That night, Maya was moved to a secure pediatric recovery center. Julia rode with her. Elena followed in her own car, watching the rearview mirror the entire time. And though Maya didn't say it, Elena could see it in her eyes. She knew they weren't safe yet. This wasn't over. Somewhere out there, someone was still watching. And he, or they, weren't done.